Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today, we'll be discussing Breathing the Same Air by YUUJI. Before we get started, there will be spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiling this manhwa, go ahead and click off now. No worries, I'll catch you next time. For those of you left behind, let's go over some content warnings. There may be references to pseudo-incest, homomesia, divorce, cheating, violence, chronic illness, kink shaming, compensated dating and or escorting, sex work, prejudice, assault, blood, criminal or gang activity, forced regurgitation, excessive drinking, slut-shaming, invasions of privacy, bullying, harassment, obsession, drugging, and sexism, including toxic masculinity, as these things do appear in the manhwa. But if that's okay with you, let's go and get started. Haishin lives alone, and he prefers it that way. Having grown up being raised by a womanizing single father, Haishin was used to people coming in and out of his life on a whim, and rather than deal with the same thing in his adulthood, Haishin would prefer the solace of singledom. This also befits his sexual preference for solo anal stimulation, which he does frequently just before bed to ensure he gets a good night's rest. Unfortunately, his peaceful homebody lifestyle ends when his former stepbrother comes to live with him. Haishin never wanted to live with Sangyeon, but his father, who still pays part of his rent, comes to Haishin with Sangyeon's mother in tow. Haishin can't help but enthusiastically agree. It probably wouldn't be such a bad living arrangement if Sangyeon and Haishin didn't hate each other due to their strained relationship as children. It's even worse as adults, with Sangyeon being messy, a smoker, and prone to destruction, which is entirely counter to Haishin. Will Haishin be able to regain his peace, or will he be stuck fighting against Sangyeon for the rest of his life? To start with, I very much dislike this art style. It's super inconsistent, the body proportions are wild, and the designs are just generally unattractive. As with most inconsistent styles, there are times when it can look nice, but those are few and far between. I honestly found myself laughing when our main characters kept commenting on how attractive they found each other, only for the visuals of them being attractive still not being all that good looking. However, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I wouldn't say this is terrible. It definitely gets better by the end, but it's still most certainly not my style at all. Usually, even if the art isn't my favorite, the story or characters can save it. Unfortunately, this is a loss here as well. Both of our main characters are assholes, though one is clearly more of an asshole than the other. Sangyeon is a complete jerk for so many reasons, and I despise that he's the lead for this series. He beats random people on the street because they remind him of Haishin, destroys Haishin's house just because he can, and then stalks and harasses Haishin just because he enjoys anal stimulation. I'm all for a red flag redemption story, and some of my favorite tops are the reddest of red, but Sangyeon feels irredeemable to me, partly due to the length of the story, which is far too short for the redemption he needs. His shift from complete and utter ass to this fluffy tsundere just doesn't feel realistic to me, especially when he's set up as such a jerk from the very beginning. However, I will say that I like the development of their hateful antagonistic relationship to a more loving one. While it is unbelievable, seeing Sangyeon be a bratty dog type is pretty cute, and a combination I don't see often. Haishin is a judgmental ass in his own right, but from the very beginning he's very much the mother hen type, doting on Sangyeon equally as much as he nags him. This transition in their relationship is really sweet and creates a nice dynamic between two very counter personalities. That just makes it all the more disappointing when it dissolves again due to hateful Sangyeon returning to his violent and cruel self simply because Haishin confesses to being gay. I understand Sangyeon might be going through some existential crisis of his own, finding himself attracted to Haishin and finding out there could be a mutual attraction. Still, these steps backward in his personality make it utterly impossible for any redemption by the time the story ends. The rest of their relationship also ends up being just full of physical violence from both sides, which just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Now, I've been extremely critical of this title, rightfully so in my opinion, but I want to end the main review on a positive note. I do like the push and pull of their relationship. I like how fluffy and sweet Sangyeon can be and how forward he is in his affections with Haishin despite his initial fear of being gay. I also like that Haishin, though often cruel and violent, still holds his own even after getting into a relationship with Sangyeon. He still calls him out and shares his feelings, which I appreciate. I also love that they tried to drug each other. It's completely nonsensical and of course ethically wrong on so many levels, but I admittedly found it funny how they both attempted to drug the other to force the other's feelings out. I don't think any of these points saved this story for me, but I appreciated their presence nonetheless. With all that being said, this is a miss for me. I have plenty of toxic relationships that I still love. I mean, this is fiction. I'm not here to police fiction for morality, but I do want to share my thoughts and preferences honestly with those who might be concerned with similar content. I hate that these two continue to physically abuse each other all the way up until the very end. And I hate that any redemption that might have been had for either of them is cut off because of the length of the work. It feels like so much is missing that might have benefited the development of this relationship, but we're stuck with them both settling for each other and it doesn't feel good. So, have you read Breathing the Same Air? If so, what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Do you not? Let me know in comment below. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Bye!